Now there is this last important question, and that is the question what to ask. What are your measurement instruments? And what I'm discussing here is applicable to both surveys and observations. I will now use survey terminology, but if you plan an observation, just treat the observation sheet as a survey to yourself. So you're getting the question, how many cars did pass under the bridge? That's a classical observational study. That will be a question for you, and you are observing 1 hour, and you will fill in that number. So for creating your measurement instrument, there are 3 guidelines that I want to give to you, which are very important. You probably do not need to take care of much more than that, but those 3 points are really important and always applicable. So rule number 1 is think about the complexity of the thing that you want to measure. If it's a very easy thing, like cars under a bridge, and if it's not so important, maybe also for your research question, then you can ask a simple question. Very directly, how many cars did actually drive under the bridge? Or for instance, if age appears in my research only as a so-called control variable, I might just include chronological age as a variable in there. How old are you? A very simple question. And that's perfect. But what about concepts that are more complex or that are more important in a research question? For instance, I might still be interested in age, but I want to have a psychological idea of what age means to that person. How old do you feel? So it's not about a number in years, but more like a feeling. So what I would need here is actually much more complex information. And for those types of concepts, one question hardly suffices. I need to ask multiple questions and later on combine them. That's the idea of research scales. We try to ask many questions about one concept and then combine those items again to have one single score to use in our analysis. For instance, think about personality. That's always a great example because most people have done a personality test. Whether it's a scientific one or not, it doesn't really matter. The important thing is those personality tests are not just one question. It's a whole battery of items. And this is exactly the idea of scales. You ask many questions, and this is for 2 reasons. First, you can catch all those different facets of the concept. Of personality, for instance. There are many different sub-concepts that you want to measure. And second, your measurement becomes more fine-grained. The measurement itself improves. So it's not just that I can answer from 1 to 5, let's say, but if I have multiple items and I make the average of that, then that also makes comma values possible. So this is what I want. It gives me more insight. You can also think of this in terms of what happens if I make a response error. I want to tick 5, but I accidentally tick 1. If I have just one item, this is a big mistake. But if I have multiple items and I just make the error once, the average score is not affected that much. And that, of course, is good for you as a researcher.